Good morning, traders. Welcome to the live trading room. I hope you are all doing well this morning. Right, so we had the Fed interest rate decision yesterday. As you can see, the market is responding. But as I keep saying, the news will not change the structure unless you have forecasted the structure incorrectly. The structure is as is playing out here on US dollar CAD. So as I've been saying, I have been saying that do not rush into buying US dollar CAD until we've got confirmation that the trend has reversed. And for the last couple of days, we have been making this base here at the bottom, at the retest of the bottom for this flat correction. Why is my pen writing so thin? At the retest of this, for those that are still new here, this is not support or resistance. This is structural levels. This is a pattern. So the bigger structure that you're seeing here is this one here. It's a 1, it's a 2. So from right here, the top 4 months, we have only been looking for sell setups. We never bought US dollar CAD until we reached 120.63. So if you look at our charts from around June last year, you'll see that we've been looking for this to come down to exactly this area here, which is 120.63, which we have retested, and we are now looking to the upside. Now, if we look at this is pretty interesting. Like most pairs, look at the daily. The daily is now well above 50. So that means any trade setup that you're going to look for here, up to at least 50%, you'll be looking for buy setup. So if you look at that move, let's say from current levels up to about 50% of the move, that is over 900 pips. So you are trading with a guaranteed trend. So the probability of getting your trades right is higher. So somebody could have said, oh, but we could have bought here at 2063. It does not always work like this. At 2063, you could have found this corrective structure. It could have dropped another 300 before it can actually reverse. So you could have lost the trade. So we trade with the trend. We can see the trend now on the daily is upside, and on the weekly, let's have a look here on the weekly where we are with the weekly chart. Now look at the weekly. Although we are still below 50 on the weekly, we accept that the daily is good enough indicator for us to start looking for upside. So the weekly will start following that as well. So we will be looking to get to around this level. So the weekly could push up to 50%. We could see this one pop above that and then upside when we get to around the 50%, but we're not worried about that. We're looking for setups to the upside now. So every time we're going to get to the lower degree, we're going to get 4-hour or 1-hour setups. We're going to be taking it to about 128, 130, around there. That is US dollar CAD, and that's how we're going to be looking at the setups now. So the Fed interest decision was the catalyst, obviously, for the market. So the decision is to keep the interest rates unchanged, but the tone is hawkish. So the market is responding to the fact that over the next couple of months, the Fed is going to start increasing the interest rates. So the Fed anticipates that the economy should start recovering from around 2023. So that's when they're going to start increasing the interest rate, which is currently sitting at about 0.25, has not been changed yesterday. So we do not ignore the news. We understand, we are aware of the news, but we do not let them control our structures. So the structures, we'll trade them independent of the news. I've only read this after the reaction of the news. I've only read or heard this in the news on my way to the office, where they're talking about how the Fed is now planning to increase the interest rate from around 2023, maybe 2 increases of 0.25% each. Doesn't matter now. We have been looking at this well before the interest rate decision. Now, so that news have had an effect on the rest of the US dollar pairs as to be expected. Before that, let's go to the lower time frame here on US dollar CAD before we go to the rest. So the kind of setups that you will be looking for are these. So you'll be looking for setups like this size, these sizes of corrections, these sizes of corrections. Don't take these small ones, because at that point you may get a pullback here. But at this stage, there is no sign of reversal. Yesterday, we spoke about US dollar ZAR as well and how it is correlated to the US dollar CAD. Let's go to the daily. I showed you this chart. Not only yesterday, guys, we have been looking at this chart for a while. From when we were still here, we expected this to come retest to make this flat. We expected this to make a push to the upside here like that. And it's playing out inch perfect. Again, we are going to look for this to get to around the 50% of this, whichever corrective structure it makes, whether it goes with one single impulse, doesn't matter. So what matters now is that we are going to start looking for trade setups to the upside on US dollar ZAR. Okay, so let's go to the euro. Euro US dollar. Now, Euro US dollar, we have been looking at this to be our wave, final wave here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. But if you look at this, this is very deep now, and this could even result in a structure like this. So if you look at this here on the daily, we've got a 3-wave move to the downside. This looks to have made 3 waves to around these levels. We're expecting just a shallow correction for this to complete this wave here, the same way this has happened here to complete the wave 5 here. But this has been so deep. So we're going to wait for a reaction here. Whatever reaction we're going to get there, whether it's going to be a bit of a pullback, if it's a pullback here, we're going to be looking for this to make one more down here before we make a push to the upside. So that is how we're looking at the euro. I'm going to look at the DXY before we go to the lower time frames. So the DXY will be exactly the same as well. So we were looking for this one to have been all the way 4 and for this to go there. But if you can see here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 1 looks like a 2 and a 3. This could even make another 1 here to come give us a structure like this. So that will be still back at about 50 to 60% before the next move to the downside. So that is still a possibility on the DXY and the euro. So let's look at the lower time frames here. So we're waiting for the reactions at current levels, which we are not seeing at the moment. So let's have a look here at the DXY, looking upside. There's no sign of reversal. So that correction, whatever correction is going to come there, will take a couple of trading sessions to build up before we start looking for continuation or a reversal at that area. That is the DXY, and the euro is similar. We are currently at 50% of the whole move. So let's see if we're going to have a reaction at current levels. We're just waiting for that, and for now 60%. So that reaction may not necessarily be the wave 4, or rather the wave 2, and then we continue to the upside. Let's see here, we can get a reaction here in 3 waves. If we get that reaction in 3 waves, that means that we are going to still see more downside and we're still going to be more sideways. Pound US dollar. So pound US dollar. So for all the setups, we have been looking for them to get into the blue box, which they have. We discussed pound US dollar coming into this blue box, which we've now come to the blue box with the Fed news. The question is, do we now reverse from the blue box? Are we going to see a continuation to the upside? We are here now. We wait for the reaction at current levels. Okay. That is a pound US dollar chief tracks the US dollar index. This one, we only wanted it to get to this level, which has now been crushed and is now well above that. So that is not only going to make a corrective structure there. So that means this is a new structure here. We're going to wait for a reaction from around that levels. Okay, so even if we didn't know what the news outcome was, we were looking for this because of the indicator showing us upside. This is why we were looking for this to make a move to the upside, at least back to these levels. US dollar CAD, we've already gone through that. Audi US dollar yesterday, we looked for this structure to come where we are currently at current levels. We have dropped to those levels. We had this, we said we want to see this one come, take the top here and make a move to the downside. That's exactly what has happened. We are now around here, the blue box area. Do we get a reaction from that level? Let's wait for that reaction. We are where we wanted to be, and that is at that level on Audi US dollar. New Zealand US dollar is exactly the same structure as Audi. Let's have a look at that. So yesterday we looked at this structure on New Zealand. We said we want to see this push slightly higher back to this level. Exactly what has happened. That's what we looked at yesterday, and now we've dropped to about 1,618 off that whole move. Do we get a reaction here? That is what we're going to be waiting for, a reaction at that level. US dollar ZAR, we've just spoken about this. Pound yen. So pound yen, 1, 2, 3 yesterday, and it is making a move to the downside, but this is still corrective, has not broken to the downside yet. So let's just watch this one for now. So this is 1, 2, we'll expect this one to do this before we see upside. All right, so that is a pound yen, a US dollar yen. US dollar yen, if you remember what we said yesterday, when we had this looking downside yesterday, I showed you what the indicators were showing us. So do not, I think we've learned from yesterday that just because a candle looks like it's going downside does not mean that that's where you're going. Look at what has happened here. Sometimes it looks too obvious, and when it's too obvious, I don't like those kind of trades. So that's why you see this has pushed up higher, even though yesterday you could have said, okay, this 4-hour candle is looking downside, we're looking for this one to come down here. But what was the indicator showing us? The indicator was showing us that we are around here. The RSI was still above 50. We never dropped below 50, and we pushed to the upside. So the indicator is very powerful. You cannot get wrong with the indicator forecasting the next immediate move. The only thing you can get wrong or not forecast accurately is how far the mark or the move will go. But as for the direction, from here, you can focus that we're going to get a move to the downside. But the indicator won't tell you is how far. But we can estimate that depending on the time frame that we are forecasting on. Okay, so that is where we are with US dollar yen, still seeing continuation to the upside. We should still see this level here at 111. And that is now starting to look like a diagonal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we're going to get a pullback here, it will take us up higher again. Euro yen. So Euro yen, we were here yesterday. We looked at the indicators showing us that we're not going to push to the upside. Now this is the structure that we have here. We've got a three-wave structure here on Euro yen. Does not look like there's any reversal, although this is now looking like we're the blue box. Does not look like we're gonna get a continuation to the upside there. So let's wait for a reaction at current levels. That reaction, if it comes like that, then that means we start selling Euro yen to the downside. But when do we start selling? We only start selling when this is the case. And that is now right where we can start looking for. If we get a sell setup with the daily below 50, then we start taking those trades to the downside. So that means we're going to get a deeper correction from those levels. Let's go Chief on the 4-hour. Chief on the 4-hour, the structure that we were looking for has played out, but is that all that is going to give us? Does not look likely. It may even invalidate this structure. So we looked at this one here to do that. 1, 2, 3. Is that going to be an expanding flat? Are we going to start seeing a reaction? All we are waiting for now is to see a reaction at current levels to see if that gives us an expanding flat. So we're going to be tracking that and looking for that. If that does not happen, we're going to look for a reaction. That means this has ended the move, and we start looking for downside, and then we look for the day. Let's confirm the daily as well. The daily is just dipping below 50. The daily is just dipping below 50, but let's check the structure as well. Remember the structure we showed over the weekend? This may have reached its three-wave structure here on the weekly. We have not quite traded into the blue boxes yet, but there's nothing that says we must get to exactly that level. Remember, the rule is that your wave C must just be at anywhere be above the end of wave A and no more than 1,618. So that can still be a valid structure. So Chief Yen could start reversing from current levels. You don't see it now on the weekly, but if you look at the 4-hour or the daily, you can see that we are starting to dip below there. We are right at the top, right at the extremes. So let's expect this to give us a deeper correction there or even lower. So we may be ready for a drop here on on Euro and Chief. Okay, Euro and Chief, just to go back on US dollar yen, this is the bigger structure on the weekly. This can also reach the 111 that we were speaking about and start pulling back together with the euros and the chief. So if the yen pair starts pulling to the downside, that means there's uncertainty in the market and people would want to put their money again on the yen pairs. That's because the yens are supposed to be the safe haven pairs, just like gold. So that's why you'll see most of the time when the yen pairs drop, gold makes a move to the upside. Currently, gold is dropping with the US dollar because of the US dollar strength, but let's see how that is going to go. So this is CAD yen. We are still in this corrective structure on the weekly, but this is making a deeper correction now. So just look at out to the weekly. We've made 5 waves, so it looks like 5 waves here. These are 5 waves. We've got 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. It will not be a surprise if we get back to these levels on CAD yen. We wanted it to reach this level. We are currently all exactly there, just like pound yen. We are exactly there. So there will be nothing wrong if this starts reversing from current levels. Let's look at the 4-hour. 4-hour, we are below 50. Daily, we are below 50, or only just. So what if we get a setup on the 4-hour? We take it because the indicators on both time frames would have confirmed. So we were looking for a continuation to the upside and it has not come. So the next move that will come here is a reaction. That reaction should come with the RSI still looking downside. Then we'll start selling. New Zealand yen. New Zealand yen. Let's go to the daily so you remember the structure. So you don't forget the structure on New Zealand yen. So New Zealand yen, we are still looking for this to continue to the downside here. So that means any continuation pattern, 4-hour or 1 hour that we get a setup on, we're going to sell it at least back to this level. Could be even this. That is New Zealand. As you can see, we did say that this is a messy structure, but we're expecting just downside, running flat. You see it continue to the downside. Audi, similar structure, also a messy structure, but the direction is downside. So whatever happens here, whether we get a bounce, we are still looking for this to continue to the downside. 3 down, 3 up, look for downside here. Gold dropping with euro. We're currently here at 50%. We're currently at the 50% level. Are we going to get a resumption of the move to the upside? We are waiting for a reaction at that level. But let's have a look here. So we are well below 50 on the 4-hour. Let's look at the daily. The daily well below 50. So this structure on gold may still be pretty much downside. Let's have a look at the weekly. So if we looked at this one to be the 3 waves to the downside, now this we're looking at as an impulse. If that structure is not going to go all the way to the upside, we're going to get something like this. That means gold is still pretty much sideways. Still pretty much sideways. So what do we do in that case? We look for setups around these levels and take it back to 1645. But let's have a look at the weekly chart. Look at the weekly. The weekly is showing us that we are only just starting this move to the downside. And the weekly is also dipping below 50. Look at that, we're just dipping below 50. A weekly candle, so the weekly candle ends tomorrow. If this weekly candle closes below here, we are going to see this 1645 being retested. Will it be retested with a straight line? It's possible we can go down there with a straight line, push back and makes a move to the downside as follows. So we just need to watch that. So the US dollar strength is coming for the medium term. That's why you see that on the weekly as well. Silver, we have been looking for that. That's why we said gold is not going to push to the upside because we're expecting silver to drop with that move. Okay, we're going to come to silver now. Let's look at silver. We're looking for this structure to come down here. Let's go to the lower time frame. So the weekly on silver, can you see where we are here on the RSI, right at the top? This one can start dripping below 50. We have a look at this bigger structure. We're going to go to the smaller structure. We had the 3 waves here looking for this one to make a push to the upside. We didn't get that push to the upside, but this was 3 waves still. Now, what we're seeing here is that we are getting this red degree correction, which can come around here and starts doing this. We can still go sideways for a while. Whatever 3-wave structure we get on silver will push to the upside, but we're not going to worry about the rest of the structure. Where we are now currently is here. So let's go here on the daily and the 4-hour. This is what we had yesterday. We are dropping with a move to the downside. So the bigger structure that you saw on the weekly is this one here, 1, 2, 3. Now this one did not come up quite aggressively. It has made what looks like a 3-wave structure, and we're coming down with this one. Just like gold, we should see silver possibly retest this lows here, 24. Any bounce here will be making a structure like this. So we'll take it one move at a time. We are below 50 on all time frames. Platinum, a clear structure. 1, 2, 3. Do we bounce here? I'll expect it to come around these levels. That makes much more sense on platinum. This should have given us an indicator on the rest of the metals that they are not ready for a move to the upside when we saw this. Because then until this starts resuming up higher, gold will not and silver will not. Very clear structure here. So wait for the blue box on platinum, which will be here. Then we'll start looking for upside on the rest of the metals. So platinum should continue up until around these levels. This is the blue box area. Only then will we start expecting platinum to start the reversal. And until then, both metals should be pushing lower because of the US dollar strength. Brent crude, we know what to do here. No analysis, only look for upside. Pound CAD has confirmed the move to the upside. Has broken above that. We're going to look for this to go to around 74 area. Let's go to the lower time frame and see if there's a setup where you could put in a tighter stop for that. The only entry there was here. But as we've been saying, this one is going up quite slowly, but it can start making an impulse from there. So if you get a 1 hour entry here, you can still take that because that's above the structural level. Even a 1 hour entry. So look out for a 1 hour. If it stays here long enough from the 1 hour, that could be a setup for upside. Pound Audi is still pushing up higher. It's not dropping. Let's see if it's going to retest the blue box. What happens at the blue box? This is not a setup. Same as New Zealand. It's not going anywhere, but showing upside. So now it's continuation pattern now on New Zealand, looking for upside there. Pound chief going to retest this level. The ABC is in play on pound chief. That ABC you see on the chart is this one. So Euro Audi will be similar. So Euro Audi, it's actually interesting that Euro Audi is currently not correlated to pound Audi, but that's fine. 1, 2, 3. We're looking for Euro Audi to continue to the downside as follows, with a pulsing move here before any move to the upside. New Zealand, weakness on the euros. So New Zealand, let's expect it to come around these levels. This will be a flat or an expanding flat. EuroCAD, still going sideways. We wanted it to retest this level. 1, 2, 3 down, 1, 2, 3 up. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3 down, 1. Let me do this with a straight line. This is a move up. 1, 2, 3 down, 1, 2, 3 up. We could be getting another 1, 2, 3 down. As follows. That is EuroCAD. Euro Chief making a bounce from that. I was actually expecting this one to come around these levels, but we are still making that pull back here. We're currently at these levels. Let's see if we're going to get this move here on Euro Chief. Audi New Zealand, buy setup. If this closes up, you just want this one, this current candle just to close above when the RSI is above 50. I'm not going to expect you to wait for it to close above here. That's going to be too far. So all you can do is, if this current 4-hour candle closes while the RSI is above 50, you can look to take that trade and put your stop loss just there. US dollar CAD will push to the upside on the break above this. This will push to the upside. We have reset it. We are above 50. This should push to the upside. Audi Chief finally starting to show some direction. We'll look for this one to continue to the upside, at least back to this level. New Zealand CAD as well. Going sideways. We've retested the low here. We want to see this come around this level. New Zealand Chief. It's the same. We're starting to see some upside here. We've got an impulse. We are above 50 on the 4-hour. Start looking for this back to the 50% of this. CAD. The reversal finally. Any move here, any 4-hour or 1 hour, we're looking for upside. We've got the 3 waves here. Look for upside. S&P 500. We're going to eventually get that move. As we've seen the Dow Industrial looking to complete that move, we could have that on the S&P 500 before we make a move to the upside. That's the structure we've been looking at for since the beginning of May. Dow Jones is already playing out a similar structure. As you can see, it's the same structure we have been expecting: a move down, a 3 waves up, and a move to the downside before any resumption of the move to the upside. That's what we've been expecting on the S&P 500. Nasdaq, continuation to the upside. This is just a continuation pattern for more upside. UK 100. So we have tagged the top, we are reversing. We've tagged this top, we've just tagged it, and we're coming back down here. Let's see if we're gonna get confirmation for downside. The DAX. Continuation pattern. We expect to see this continue to the upside. And the Nikkei. Nikkei, expect a corrective structure here for a continuation to the upside. And the Nifty, it's an impulse. What is happening here is a corrective structure. We're going to see more upside. All right, let's go to the cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies looking like we are bullish short term. Let's start with Bitcoin. All cryptocurrencies, you're going to see short-term moves to the upside. Could Bitcoin now retest around 44,000 as indicated yesterday? There's a very likely possibility that we start looking at that. We are at the bottom, we are above 50. We are making a corrective structure. This breaking above this, we see Bitcoin push at least around 44,000 that we indicated yesterday. So that is the structure this morning for all the cryptocurrencies, short-term moves to the upside. Ethereum, same. We're expecting Ethereum to make a move to around these levels. We actually expected Ethereum to make a structure like this and then upside like that. So this is showing us upside. So we're going to look at that upside in the short term to around 3,000. So we are at the bottom. We're starting to push above 50 there. So we will see Ethereum push a little bit higher. Litecoin, 1, 2, 3, move to the upside. We want to see this continue to the upside. So the structure we're essentially looking for is 1, 2. We look for upside there. So this is a continuation pattern. We're going to see upside here on Litecoin. Ripple, the same. Ripple is showing even more strength than most cryptocurrencies for a leg to the upside. Are we going to reach parity again here at 1 on Ripple, 1 for 1 on Ripple, and US dollar $1 for Ripple? So we want to see that at that level, but we are seeing these continuation patterns here. Doge, looking upside. We'll see this one continue to the upside, back to about 40 cents or even 50 cents at this level. ADA, showing strength. RSI is already above 50, so we are going to see ADA come around here, close to 2, the levels before the so-called crash. Binance, also showing some recovery signs, but we are only expecting this to go to around 440 level, around this level. That is Binance. And lastly, Bitcoin Cash versus US dollar, all doing the same thing. As you can see, this one is already above 50. Just need to get that 4-hour candle closing above for us to go back to 800 on Bitcoin Cash. And lastly, Link. So the cryptocurrencies are starting to look interesting. Link, same thing. Continuation pattern. We are at the bottom. We are above 50. We want to see this retest about 37,000. All right. So that's what we have for this morning. We'll see you at 11 a.m. GMT for the live technical analysis. Thank you guys for watching. Trade responsibly. Have a good day. Cheers. Bye-bye.